Hey guys, this is Jenn and Julien with X Appeal, and you're listening to episode 31.
You got it right.
I got it right.
Good job.
By the way, for me to record, my brain is half asleep.
I already have to pee, by the way. I already have to pee. This is a big mistake.
Well, hold it for an hour.
I know I have to hold it. By the way, I'm juicing.
Why?
I just started day 1 of a 3-day juice cleanse.
Yeah?
Because I like torturing myself a little bit.
I always think it's too sugary for me. It's too much sugar.
Yeah, it is. It's too much. So this one is like lemon, ginger, maple syrup, and cinnamon.
Oh.
I know. It's the lemon it's the lemon and the ginger that I can't handle.
Really? That's the best part?
Yeah, it's too tangy. It's too acidic this early in the morning.
Oh yeah, that's definitely, you should have something in your stomach for sure. It's gonna damage your.
No, it's not. You're not a doctor.
I am. Listen, you know, when I went through all my phases of rashes and all that stuff, I read so much. I swear to God, I never read that much stuff when it came to internal gut health. I read, what did I read? I read 2 books about diet. One of them was called, it's a French book. It's from a big French doctor, like the alternative doctor. How do we call those again? Medicine doctor. and he's a dietitian too.
Yeah.
And and it's called The Diet of Experience, and it's him combining 50 years of his patients that he's treated.
Yeah.
That were not successful being treated by conventional medicine.
Yeah.
All came back to diet. And
he was just shitting on juice cleanses. Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily, but like after that time, like from reading that and other stuff, there's also a great podcast actually. It's Joe Rogan, whether you like him or not, but he has this doctor called Rhonda Patrick. Mm-hmm. And at the time, it was in 2017, because there's a few episodes they did together. And at the time he was doing keto. And she's all about like, she's very, very knowledgeable. And she was talking about like how, like basically if there's one thing you need to cut out of your diet, like right now, is sugar and processed sugar.
Oh yeah. That's universal. I've heard that.
Even fruits, even fruits. It's crazy. Like you could have it, but not too much.
Well, yeah.
Just, and then that book I read tells you when to eat the fruits, how to combine the fruits, what to combine with what. Like,
just feel like you're not living your life though. Like that's so many rules. I don't know.
No, but you are. Like, for example, it says if you're going to eat meat, you should eat it with greens or veggies. You should never have carbs and meat. And for example, when I did that, I realized that every time I was eating my meat, and just veggies or salad or grilled veggies, I was never tired. But as soon as I add carbs with my meat, I am dead fucking tired.
I thought that you don't like meat. I thought that you're like an impossible person.
No, I started again. I started again. And I've been eating a lot of meat, but like it changed because I used to be like, oh, I eat meat, I'm so tired. It's not the meat. I actually experience it. It's the carbs that you eat with the meat. And if you eat your carbs, you just have them with veggies. So like pasta, vegetarian pasta. So that's a little changes.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, well, it's a 3-day juice cleanse. It's like a reset. And then I have a salad and a soup that I get to eat as well during the day. And it's like,
where'd you do it? Where'd you get it from?
It's Zen Foods, and this is like not a sponsored thing, but I actually do have a partnership with them now because I want to lose the baby weight, and I've been working out, more than I have the last 9 months now that I'm cleared. So I just want to once and for all just like get rid of it.
Yeah,
I'm on the right track. I mean, I've already lost like 16 pounds. So
are you pooping a lot? With the juice, yeah.
Oh, with the juice, I just started it. This is my first juice bottle. So
first juice bottle.
Why, do you poop a lot?
No, I never. Like maybe once every 2 months. Me.
What?
I like to say my body works 100%.
Yeah.
It consumes everything I ingest, and just like a little bit of dust.
There's no waste. There's literally no waste.
A little bit of dust. Mm-hmm. Wait, is it a plastic bottle or or glass bottle.
I mean, come on. It's a plastic. I think it's plastic.
That's one thing. Like, there's my girl got me onto this almond milk that is only almond and cold pressed water. So I never realized that when you buy almond milk, there was a ton of shit in it. I never realized. To me, it was just almond and water.
I didn't know that either.
You look at any like the whole food brand, all the good ones that we all know, it's full of gums and all that stuff.
Gums?
It's terrible. Yeah, gums. It says like gums in it. It's terrible for you. And then this one brand was super healthy, and it's called Malk, almond Malk, and it's only almonds and cold pressed water. That's it. There's nothing else.
You have to spell that for people who are listening.
Yeah, M-A-L-K.
Okay,
almond, and it's great. But then I'm like, you guys are all about this healthy stuff, but then you give us the milk in a plastic bottle. The fuck?
Yeah, well, you're healthy for yourself, not the environment.
I won't be healthy for the
environment. I'm recycling it, so that helps, right?
I don't know. I think so, but again, like,
I don't know.
There's a John Oliver episode about recycling, and we're all doing it wrong. Like, straight up. It's like there's stuff that can't be recycled with the other ones, and then it contaminates the whole thing, and then they throw it on the side. It literally, like, if you want to do recycling right, it's like it's insane. It's really complicated.
I feel like you can complicate your life in many, many different ways. I like to live on the more simple side. I mean, I do recycle, but I'm not going to put that much thought into it.
Yeah, but so then it's useless.
Like I'll do a juice cleanse, but I'm not going to like put that much thought into it. It's okay. I'm not going to count the macros and measure out the grams and the ounces.
So then why do it?
Well, because I want to lose the weight, but this is all structured for you. Like, it comes literally every single day. It's brought to you in a cold container.
Yeah.
So the work is done for me because I don't like doing any work anymore.
And you're using a trainer?
No. Well, actually, Jared has been so surprisingly enough. He obviously knows a lot about the human body, but he's also very good at. He put together an entire workout program for me to do at home.
Okay.
I don't want to go to the gym because of COVID.
Yeah.
So we've been working out at home, and I'm sore as shit. Every part of my body hurts right now.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Plus, you have the Peloton.
Yeah, plus the Peloton. So,
who do you take with the Peloton?
Cody Rigsby.
Oh, you like Cody?
Yeah, I love Cody Rigsby. I like him because he's fun and he's not too difficult, and he dances. And my favorite rides are the live DJ rides with him and the DJ Johnny. Who do you use?
I oscillate between two. This Brit called Leanne Hasby.
Oh yeah, I love her. I do her arms.
Yeah. And she seems very tall.
Is she?
And she looks very tall. And then this little one out of New York, Olivia Amato.
Yeah. But, Olivia Amato.
Yeah, Olivia Amato. She's very, like, her classes are hard.
Yeah, she's very tiny.
So yeah, she's tiny, but her classes are really hard. Whereas Leanne Hasby, it's a little bit easier. I'm just trying to find a cycle instructor that shuts the fuck up. That's all I want. Play the music and tell me what. No, I hate it. I hate it. I hate when I start having.
You have to talk back.
Yeah, but I hate it when we're in the back and they go like, you can do whatever you want in your life. We're in this together. Yeah, I see you guys. You look beautiful today.
Classes because I'm it's like, emotional.
Shut the fuck up. I know I'm not beautiful. I'm sweating right now. I look
so
like
you would fucking hate Soul Cycle then.
I hate Soul Cycle. I can't.
I hate it too.
I just want somebody who says, guys, this is gonna suck. Let's get it on. You guys can do it. Boom. And then it says, okay, we let's turn it up. 55 resistance.
You'd be a terrible Peloton instructor.
That's it. Oh yeah. I'd be like, if you're here for quiet and peace, this is your class.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Right. But how do people buy into it? I don't get it.
I love it. I think the more talking, the better. Because it distracts you from the work that you're doing. Like, you don't focus so much on, like, dying, and you're actually listening to somebody else talk and motivate you. It's motivation, don't you think?
Listen, it sounds mean, but it's like, I don't want to have life advice from a Peloton instructor.
I'm not saying they know a thing or two about a thing or two, but it helps in some small way. I don't take it personally. Like when they say, "Oh yeah, you know, you got a few bad emails at work, and you know, I get that.
I hate this. I want to spit on my screen when they start doing this. Like,
well, it's not just about you, Julien.
You know, there's one is like Leanne Hesby. Every time she says, "Let's get like you're gonna go like stand up," she's like, "Let's get on the dance floor." I'm like, God damn.
Yeah.
You know who I would want? Like Deepak Chopra. Can Deepak Chopra talk to me and give me
no.
This I would listen.
I'm sorry, Deepak Chopra is full of shit.
No,
I'm gonna die on that hill. I'm gonna die on that hill. He is full of shit.
He's not. He's not as full of shit as a fucking Peloton instructor.
Oh my God.
You know, but Kobe or whatever his name is, he's nice. Like,
he's fun. I've actually met him.
Like remove your wig and just whatever.
Yeah, get your quick drag on.
Yeah. At least him, it's like he goes 100% into it. It's like, you know, yeah. Also, before we get onto our topic, I've been struggling for the last 5 days to wonder if I buy a Harley Davidson or not.
Back to this topic again.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about it.
Well, you said it was a choice between an apartment or a Harley, and I'm always opting for the apartment.
It's not like $50,000 is going to buy me an apartment, you know.
So what are you going to do?
I don't know. I tried flipping coins yesterday, but it didn't.
What's your girlfriend say? Has she ever ridden on the motorcycle with you?
Yeah, she loves it.
Okay.
Yeah, she's like I think she says you don't need it. You know, don't need it. But also any of my friends that rides also understands why we want to, because it's two very different rides. So it's easier to, you know, it's harder when you're not doing it, but I think
What's so great about a Harley compared to other motorcycles? I don't understand. Because Harleys are definitely more expensive than other motorcycles, right?
They're not. No, some BMWs are more expensive. Harleys are like, it's just like, as a French person, the Harley is like the American dream, right? It's like you're in California on the PCH, you're riding your Harley. The difference is this one's bigger than mine, so it's more comfortable. If you go ride for like 4 or 5 hours, your back's not hurting. There's a little bigger seat for the passenger, so anybody who's in the back is more comfortable. Okay. It's just like that. So think about my bike being like a Mini Cooper S, the one that I have, super like fun and stuff, and the Harley being like a Tahoe, where you're like, oh, you know, I can just kind of chillax, but it's heavier and all that stuff. That's
all right.
So it's like, you don't need it, obviously. It's just like, do you want to have fun, you know, live your life?
Well, treat yourself. I mean, unless it's going to be a choice between your next meal and a Harley, then
no, never. I would never. I'm smart.
Never.
No.
That's what I thought.
No, never. Absolutely
not. So.
You know. So, anyways, we'll see. But today we're talking about. You see how it's like I'm just judging my stuff, but
wait, let me ask you a question to start this off.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me something about yourself that you have only told a handful of people in your life.
Okay. Damn. That's a hard one. A handful of people, something, because I don't want to say something shitty.
Even if it's something that you don't normally talk about with people.
Yeah. No.
Like the first thing that comes up about you.
I got you. No, but I hear what you're saying. Like something. Yeah. I think. Okay. Yeah. So I would say that's actually, I discovered that through my acting training. I used to, and still sometimes tend to compare myself to other when it comes to their career success and how much money they have. And it's easy for me to put myself down if I feel like I'm below them.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense. I think we all compare ourselves to other people, you know, a lot, probably way too often than we should. And no thanks to Instagram too, which is why I'm trying to stay away from it. I would say I am still afraid of the dark. You can believe that, as a 37-year-old woman.
Oh, okay. So I went really deep with mine, but you're just kind of.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. Like, it's not something that I like to. It's kind of embarrassing, right? Like, I have to have a fucking nightlight on whenever I'm alone in the dark. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now.
Sure. Well, now you can use the child as an excuse to leave the light on.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm afraid. I've always been afraid. I literally slept with my parents until I was about 12 years old. I was that afraid. I don't know why they allowed me to do that, but I did. And and I was petrified to sleep alone.
And that's something you've only told a handful of people?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I don't know. I'm embarrassed by that. Because I'm a grown ass woman and I should not be afraid of the dark anymore. Like, hello. That's
so funny because to me it's like that's such not a big deal. I feel like it's so much harder to.
It's been a big deal for me because it's been such a huge part of like every single night. I'm like something's gonna happen. I have big anxiety at night for some reason.
Oh wow! Try to smoke some weed.
No, you know what I think it is? I think I've watched too many
true crime.
Too many true crime movies and series.
Yeah.
Like all the break-ins and stuff and like this, shit that used to happen in LA in like the 70s and 80s with the serial killers breaking into people's houses. And it's just, I don't know. I watched too much of it.
That's why you got to get yourself a gun, says America.
I'm not going to get a gun. I have a child.
No, he's not going to use it.
What?
He's not going to use it. He doesn't know how to use it.
I don't even know how to use a gun.
Can he talk yet or still not?
Can he talk? He's not even 2 months old.
Oh my God. You have a dumb baby.
You know the stepping stones and the milestones for infants?
Oh, no, I'm sure I was talking at like...
He will look directly in my eyes and shit himself.
So he doesn't walk either?
Oh, no, he can't talk yet.
God, useless.
Yeah.
Useless. Tell him I said, Julien said you're useless.
Yeah, Uncle Julien says you're useless.
Yeah.
So,
buddy. Come on.
Growing up.
Come on. Well, but that leads us, though, to our topic of the day, which is... vulnerability in general, and I think vulnerability in your relationship, which it's hard. It's one of the most difficult things to get to is a place of vulnerability. Yeah.
And it's something that you have to work at. It does not come naturally, and you know that you can tell when you're being vulnerable because you feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah, and you feel open, like your armors are gone. It's like if somebody wants to stab you right there, they stab you.
It's like verbally taking off your clothes.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the best way I would describe it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's funny because I discovered vulnerability through my acting learning. And this is what we practice in the acting that I'm doing. It's like how to be vulnerable and how to be open right away.
All these crazy places, right? Emotionally.
And what makes you according to what I'm doing, what makes you a good actor is how vulnerable you're able to get with somebody you don't know because you just met them and you're about to have a scene with them. So it's like you have to get vulnerable right away. Yeah. And it's funny how you can train yourself, at least acting wise, to be vulnerable. But when it comes to real human connection with somebody that you actually like care for or whatever, it automatically bleeds through a little bit. Like I'm way more open and I'm way more aware of what makes me vulnerable, but it's still different, right? When you know you're doing it for the show, it's somewhat rewarding. When you're doing it for like personal stuff, now it's like, oh shit, this is real.
Well, it's rewarding in your acting career because you see the results right away, but you might not see the results right away in a relationship. Yeah. It takes time.
Did you get vulnerable with, apart telling Jared that you sleep with the light on? Like, did you like, I'm talking like emotional. I feel like when I say emotional vulnerability, it's like something that it's like, I don't know, opening up really to who you truly are, Yeah.
It's being who you really are in front of somebody else without fear of judgment. And I think that, so for me, Jared and I had, we had a number of conversations when we first started dating that were kind of on the surface, but then
in the tub when you guys were staring into each other's
eyes. Yeah. But over time, you have to share a little bit more about yourself if you want the relationship to sustain. So there were certain situations that would come up where he would question why I acted a certain way. And a lot of it had to do with prior relationships. And that was my big vulnerability. It's talking about, relationships, whether it's trauma that I had been through in the past. Abusive relationships that I had gone through in the past. That's something that it was difficult for me to open up about it. And in fact, we didn't really have a thorough discussion about it until we went to Cabo. And this is after I found out that I was pregnant.
Yeah.
So, and this is like the week that I found out that I was pregnant is when we really started opening up to each other in a bigger way.
Have a child together, so yeah, you should definitely
exactly. Yeah, but so my big like vulnerability triggers would be like past relationships. Or sex, because I get kind of a little bit uncomfortable talking about sex. So yeah, those are my two, I guess, hang-ups.
But what is there specific? Because you're saying past relationship, but like, do you have a very specific thing?
Yeah. And I'll give you just a couple of examples. I mean, because I'm relatively an open book, when it comes to my past on this podcast, especially. But yeah, I had gone through one physically violent relationship, and then two big emotionally abusive situations. One with my ex-husband, and the other one with a live-in boyfriend. Okay. So when Jared now would question, for example, like I would shut down when he said certain things, or I didn't, or I got anxiety in certain situations, like whenever he would give me gifts and maybe I didn't receive them the right way. It made me feel uncomfortable, which kind of told me that I didn't feel like I was worthy of getting gifts and getting that kind of attention. And he wondered why. And so, I kind of, that's something else about vulnerabilities. It helps you understand who you are.
Yeah.
And sometimes talking it out and tracing back why you feel the way you feel is a good way of understanding where those feelings came from and maybe how you can conquer them and how you can get over it. Yeah. What about you? What are some uncomfy topics for you?
Mine comes from, and I realized that I remember I was in acting class and we do this exercise called the repetition, which like you go in front of with a partner and you just repeat a word. That you see whatever you see. So you see your partner, they'll have a white t-shirt, it's like white t-shirt, they repeat it. Eventually it develops a relationship and you move on to feelings, into like how this person makes you feel. And I remember I was in class and there was this one guy who went up and he was so fucking good. And I was like, God, like, man, I'll never be as good as that. Right. And one day it just clicked. I'm like, why do I always feel like I'll never be as good as these people?
Yeah.
So that was something for me that I was like, oh, that's the thing that fucks me up. That's the thing that fucks me up in my everyday relationship.
Your peers.
That fucks me up in my relationship to others, because that means I was incapable of being happy for somebody else's success, because automatically I'm like, well, I'll never be able to succeed this way, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously once you find that, you work on it and you try to. But it came out, I think, from I think just the way I was raised. Like, and with my current partner, we've talked about this. Like, there's just never been. I was in a loving family, just not a physically or verbally loving family. It was just kind of like, we don't talk about this stuff. We don't say I love you. We don't say I miss you. We don't say never, ever, ever, and we don't say I'm proud of you. So there was a constant feeling, as in like, if I bring my test, I was like, oh, this is how much I did on my test, right? Instead of focusing on the good things I did right on the test, we're focusing on everything I did wrong and why I didn't have 100. So eventually you kind of like get this inside. Yeah, and now it's like, whatever you do, it's never enough.
Right.
And translated as I got older with my relationship, me not feeling like I would never be enough for my partner, feeling like there's always going to be a better dude for them out there, whether they're rich or whatever, feeling like feeling like you're just never content with yourself. But I also realized that it had a good part of that is that because I never felt like I was ever enough in any of the things that I would do, I would work twice as hard as everybody else. So then I moved faster in my career than most people. I came here with no visa and all that stuff. And I was 5 years later, I was way ahead of people that were American and acting for 10, 15 years. Yeah. And I was ahead because for me, it's like, no, that's not enough. I gotta keep doing
it. That's one thing I've always thought about you is you are a hustler. Like you have multiple jobs. And just being an actor in and of itself is difficult because you're working job to job and you don't have that stability and security. So it does take a certain amount of, I mean, yes, you are constantly comparing yourself against other people because you're going into these casting calls and these auditions. And are you seeing other people? Is that how it works where you're like in a room together?
Usually when you arrive in a room, you have a bunch of people that fits your criteria. But now it's mostly done online. Now it's all tapes. But also that just comes with the job. Eventually, at first, you get all excited about an audition. And then 8 years later, it's like, yeah, I'm going to do my audition. And if you don't get the job, you know it has nothing to do with you, right? You're just like, I'm at a place where I know that I'm good at what I'm doing. It's just like, I wasn't the right fit for that. So you totally detach from not getting it. You still get like excited about a project. Oh man, I really want to get this. I think I'd be great. And then they pick somebody else and you're like, oh, fuck, I'm bummed. But you know it had nothing to do with you.
Right.
But the triggers for me when it comes to vulnerability, and that is because I never heard it, is when people I'm like close to say that they're proud. When I hear the words, I am proud of you, there's about a 95% chance that I'll cry. Whether it's inside or whether it's just like, I'll get super silent and I'll get weird. I'll be like, yeah, thanks.
You get uncomfortable.
Weird. And when I'm in class, because acting class and when you're on acting set, for some reason it feels a safe place. So this, if I hear I'm proud, I'll most likely tear up.
Wow.
For sure.
Which brings me to my next question. When's the last time have you cried around your girlfriend yet? Yeah.
I've cried a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Is it because of your health and things like that? Because I know that was.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. That was actually a huge thing in our relationship. Is that there was a moment where I broke up with her because I was dealing with too much. I was in so much pain with my joints. You know, by the way, my friend's mom, she has a daughter who had the exact same virus, which is chikungunya. That's what I had. And she was on a walker for 4 months, for 4 years.
My goodness.
Sorry, 4 months of walker because of how much her knees were hurting.
Wow.
So I was like, oh shit, I'm not crazy.
No.
Stuff was hurting. So I was just like, you know, acting wasn't moving and that shit was just like, my rash was insane. My hands were burning. My fingers were hurting. My wrists were hurting. My knees were hurting. Couldn't figure out what it was. I was going crazy. I thought it came to a point where I thought like eating tomatoes was fucking doing it. But then I would eat one and nothing happened. And I would eat a broccoli and it would happen. And it just happened. It was like,
and then extremely,
yeah. And me being used to just always being on my own since I was 17, I was like, look, I can't deal with you. I cannot deal with you.
And it's not like anything against her. It's just that you probably didn't have the bandwidth to take care of or to even think about somebody else outside of yourself because you're really keeping yourself
in this space. I didn't feel like for example, I didn't feel like having sex. I was the furthest away. I didn't feel good. I was hurting. I didn't feel like having sex. And then you feel like as a partner, I'm like, I'm not giving you what you want. I'm not giving you the love and affection you need. I don't want to have sex. So it's like, what are you doing with me? Like right now it's just shitty. I can barely walk. So why are we even, but after I broke up with her for 2 weeks, we didn't talk. And then I realized it's like, oh shit, I actually need her. I realized like, oh man. And that was kind of like the first stepping stone where she really understood how I was working, the type of mentality I had and how I was brought up of always doing stuff on my own. And that's the first time where I started really kind of opening up.
But then understanding that she's accepting of that too. And
also
loves you despite that.
I think her being in the medical field and studying all that stuff. Yeah. Because listen, my hands were so bad. They were it looked like I had something contagious because of how bad my rashes were at night.
Mm-hmm.
I was so grossed out. And being with somebody who's just like, no, it's okay. Like grabbing your hand and just looking at them and be like, oh, it's okay. You know, instead of being like, ew, what the fuck is that? That was obviously a huge help. Obviously.
So once you realized that she wasn't going to judge you for it or judge you for anything, and then just was accepting of it and also willing to help you through that, that will bring you closer to a partner than anything else.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Very, very similar to going through this. I mean, I loved Jared obviously long before the pregnancy stuff, but going through that together only made us even closer because there's so many things that come up when you're pregnant. I mean, body issues, like your hormones, emotional stuff, and you have to work through that. And he showed me that he was super patient and understanding and non-judgmental. And, you know, even when I would cry for no reason, he would just kind of hug me and say, why are you apologizing?
Yeah.
Why are you apologizing for crying? There's no need to. There's nothing to apologize for. It is what it is. And working through that and knowing that that person is going to be there for you. It's just that whole, it forces you to become comfortable with being uncomfortable in those kinds of situations.
Yeah. And I think too, like you said, like knowing, to me, that was the hardest thing, is knowing that you can count on someone else than yourself.
Yeah.
Because now it's a whole other level, in my opinion, of vulnerability, because now you let you opening up to saying, okay, you can come into my world and like help me out a little bit, or like I can rely on you a little bit, right? And that's something big, I think, especially like in my case, I left home when I was 17. So it's 15 years that I've been alone and doing everything on my own. And if I'm sad one night, I don't have my parents around, so I'll just deal with it. But now you have somebody, and you're like, whoa, I'm used to doing this on my own. Like, I can't. What are you doing here? Like, this is not how I deal with my stuff. But now you're learning a different ways to deal with it, and it's kind of like, I think in a way it's scary, but it's also nice.
I think that people really underestimate how scary it is to ask for help sometimes.
Yeah.
To be willing to lean on somebody else, because especially if you're like you, who left home at 17. I left home at 18, for college, never looked back. And I think that's extremely difficult, especially when you get used to living on your own and relying on yourself, to then rely on somebody else.
Yeah, that's
it's in a really vulnerable place. And that's one thing that Jared and I have worked through also. Several times I have made the decision to move in with somebody else only to have it blow up in my face. And relying on somebody else, to me, had always been a negative thing, because I would always, that person, because they were so toxic, would always turn that around in my face.
Yeah.
And basically say, I'm helping you. I gave you this, I gave you that. And you're not giving me anything back. So it's almost like this running tally that I used to have in prior relationships. Like, I gave you this, what are you going to give me back? And for the longest time, after, Jared and I started becoming more serious and I moved in, I even had hesitation moving in the first place, because I'm like, I don't want to get burned again.
Yeah, of course.
This puts me in like a vulnerable place where, okay, like I give up my apartment, I give up my life that I had alone to move in. And you have to like make it work. Like you have to, when you argue, you can't go anywhere else.
You didn't have a choice because you had a baby on the way. Like if you didn't have the baby, you wouldn't have moved in right away.
Yeah, exactly. But it was having those conversations too that made me a lot more comfortable with who I was starting this life with,
Yeah. It's it all comes back to, our next guest that we're going to have next week. So I listened to their podcast too, and they said something, they talk about like how communication is everything, but how we all say communication is everything, but we don't really communicate.
Right.
Like nobody's ever down to talk about the things that hurt. right?
Yeah.
Or the things that are difficult to talk about. And I think when you get to a place where you're comfortable to do that with your partner, that's
Yeah.
deep. Like
There's some people, experts who recommend doing like a weekly check-in with your partner, like for 30 minutes. Like, how has your week gone? What are you worried about? What are your stressors? What are your anxieties? What are your, what got you down this week or that day, and what went well? Just like checking in with each other.
Yeah, but like,
it's a good thing, but I think it should be more frequent. Like every time Jared comes home from work, I always say, "Hey, how was your day? How are you feeling?" And if he's quiet for, if I notice like a change in his behavior or the way he is around me, then I'll ask him, what's bothering you? What's going on? And vice versa.
I hear you, but the thing is, people can have their weekly check-ins and still say, no, everything, I'm good. Yeah, I'm just a little under the weather.
Yeah, those are the kinds of people who have not yet learned to be vulnerable in front of their partner. And it takes time.
It takes time, but it's also, listen, not everybody, like, imagine you're on a weekly check-in and then your partner goes like, yeah, I mean, look, I love you and stuff, but sometimes, I don't know, I'm thinking about what it would be like to date someone else.
Okay. Well, then you talk about it.
Yeah, but like, how good is this conversation going to be? It's like, oh yeah, no, things are good. I mean, works is good. I mean, if I want to be honest, this morning I thought about my ex, and
you mean being too vulnerable? Is that what you're talking about, or when do you know what to share and what not to share?
Technically, if we're saying we're being vulnerable and we are opening up and we need to be 100% honest with each other, and that's what they say in that at the beginning of the podcast. I don't want to talk about it because we're going to talk next week, but they say something and say, fuck your feelings. You need the truth. Fuck your feelings, you need the truth. So where do you draw the line, in your vulnerability? Why do you draw the line of like,
I think you draw the line if it becomes such a big issue to yourself that you can't hold it in any longer. And that if it influences the way you're treating the other person.
Yeah.
Like if you are having these constant thoughts of what would it be like to be with somebody else, then maybe it's time you bring that up to your partner, because those feelings obviously are big enough. They're not going to go away anytime soon.
Of course. But like, I'm taking the example of like a weekly check-in. What if that one day you're just randomly feeling about this and then you never think about it again?
That's why I say a weekly check-in, maybe should be like the minimum that people do.
Okay, so then we're not saying the whole truth. We're not basically saying the whole truth.
I mean, I think we're talking about two different things, right? Like if you want to have a conversation about every fleeting thought that goes through your head, I don't think that's the right path. We all have some crazy fleeting thoughts, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think those are maybe worth sharing unless they, like I said, unless they become so big that you just can't, that it's changing the way you act or the way you feel about the other.
Yeah. So I always like to take an example and push it to the extreme.
Of course you like, because you like doing that.
Yeah. Just to be like, okay, how would that work then?
Yeah.
How would that work?
I think funny because do it sometimes to piss me off, but what?
Yeah. No, definitely. Especially if I can find a hole in your reasoning, that's like, oh god.
Yeah, I know.
That's part of the day.
Lately, unfortunately, lately you and I have been agreeing far too frequently. So
no. Last episode we didn't agree on a lot of stuff.
You got to find another topic that we vehemently disagree on.
Also, I told you all about coconut oil, that you learned something and how it saved your relationship.
Contribution, yeah. I wouldn't say it saved it, but
it did. I think it did.
Agree to disagree.
So I literally was just being super vulnerable, and I told you exactly what triggered me. You didn't tell me a single thing of what precisely. You said old relationship. You said abusive relationship, but you didn't say an example or an actual thing.
Okay. I will give you an example. So and I'll go with my marriage. So I felt at an extreme disadvantage going into the marriage because I was working as a reporter. I didn't have that much money. And I was living in this small 1-bedroom apartment in Hartford, Connecticut. And I met him and I moved in with him. What was it? 6 months into the relationship. I was 24 years old. I was jazzed that I had met a guy who I was really into. Yeah. And I was spending a lot of time over with him anyway. So why not? Why not just, and he was living in a temporary apartment because he had just gotten divorced, frankly. So we moved into a pretty large home together, and one that I could never, ever even dream of affording on my own.
Yeah.
And it was just that. I mean, from the very beginning, I would use every penny that I earned from work to go toward the house. I had nothing saved on my own. I was basically digging myself into this hole, hoping that things were going to work out and not having any resources for myself. And we played on that. So, I'll just give you an example. When he would come home from work, if dinner wasn't made to perfection, he would get red in the face, pissed, and spend the rest of the evening screaming at me for one thing or another. And outside of that, he would go on business trips and he would cheat on me with girls he met on the internet or women that that worked for him. This happened, I would say, probably dozens of times that I later found out, confirmed through another coworker. Because I actually worked for him too. So literally all of my eggs were in his basket.
Yeah.
And and when I finally pulled the trigger to get divorced, it was a big financial play. So I had to sell my ring and I had to sell my car just to afford a down payment, just to pay for my divorce lawyer, and put a down payment on an apartment in New York. So me giving up everything of myself for another person did not come easy to me after that.
Okay.
And that was something, again, Jared and I had to share those kinds of feelings, and it got even more detailed than that.
So you don't have a trigger word then that makes you vulnerable?
A trigger word? Or
not necessarily a trigger word, but for example, what's your equivalent to what I said, for example, in the sense of I said, if I hear, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I mean, well, I would say moving in together was a trigger for me.
Yeah.
I was, yeah. I was really scared shitless that things would bottom out the way it did in my previous relationship. There's no really one thing that he could have said or thing that he could have done to trigger me. I'm sure if he were here right now, he would probably disagree because there's a million different things that happen over the course of the relationship that I'm forgetting right now. But it's more of a broad, giving up a big piece of myself and my independence for somebody else is a huge trigger for me. Because several times then the relationship that I had in New York, where I moved in with him, I think it was after a year or so. And again, same situation. I was a reporter. I wasn't making that much money to be living in New York. I was living in a studio apartment, and I moved in with him. He wanted to move in right away, but I prolonged it. And then we got our place together. But still, it was an apartment that I couldn't afford on my own. Yeah. So I was basically subject to every mood swing, every negative comment that he wanted me to do. So, and I'll also give you an example maybe of, here's something that now that I'm thinking about it, when you say a trigger, video games is a huge trigger for me. Because he used to play, this is my live-in boyfriend in New York, used to play video games ad nauseum. I mean, when I tell you morning to night on his days off, I would spend Saturday nights inside our apartment in a separate room drinking wine by myself instead of out with my girlfriends while he was playing video games. And he could not be bothered to talk to me, there was no interaction whatsoever. It was just him zoning in on his video games. And there was one occasion when I come up behind him and I'd take his like headphones off, right? Like I do that. Ooh. And he turns around and slaps me right in the face.
Oh,
full
shit.
palm, slaps me. I saw stars. That's how hard it was. And then
I think it seems like your vulnerability trigger when you start to feel the most vulnerable is when you give up part of
when I give up a huge piece of myself for somebody else is when I start to feel super vulnerable. Scary.
Shit. This is me. You can get me right now.
Yeah. And that's what I mean, Jared, I know that he had to have been frustrated about me not getting to that level that he was maybe feeling, at that time. But those are the reasons. And for me to explain that to him, A, was a vulnerable moment for me, but B, also taught me why I was feeling the way I was feeling and maybe how to overcome that. And the way to overcome that, truthfully, for me and Jared, was just airing it out and talking about it and being comfortable talking about it. And then hearing his response to me and seeing his actions every day, knowing that he was a complete opposite human. But
also, explaining why and explaining what, like, all of that stuff helps your partner understand why you behave a certain way and vice versa. So instead of them thinking it's their fault, or instead of them being like, it's so much easier to understand why somebody behaves a certain way based on what they've done or what they've experienced. And then you understand too, it's like, oh shit, no, it has nothing to do with me. It's just like, it takes time.
Yeah. Exactly.
Do we have any, we had a good question, right?
From the audience?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a, let me adjust my.
Yeah. Have you ever had an experience where your partner has a vastly different love language than you? And how did you deal with that?
So for people who, let me look this up because
my life.
For people, love languages. Not everybody's read that book or even knows what a love language is. So let's go over what the 5 love languages are really quick.
Just 5?
Yes, there are 5.
Well, I know there's words of affirmation, gift, quality time.
Here, so it's words of affirmation.
So that's being like affectionate verbally.
Yeah, so like compliments, reassuring words.
Yeah.
Acts of service is another one.
Yeah, so that's being dependable and
yeah, but it's not necessarily like gift giving is its own love language.
Yeah, it's like you can count on someone and you can count on me. That's my love language.
Yeah, exactly. Doing something without expecting anything in return. And then gift giving is another one. Okay. That's more of like monetary spending.
Yeah. It's more like a sugar baby, sugar daddy type of
sugar daddy situation. Yeah. Physical touch.
Yeah.
We all know what that is. Mm-hmm. And quality time.
Yeah. So spending time together.
Yes. So those are the 5 love languages. Mine are
2, right?
What's that?
Do we have 2 or something?
I mean, everybody has their own, like, I would say stacking your love languages is probably better than picking
like
just
order.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just give you my top 2. My top 2, quality time and words of affirmation.
Okay.
What are yours?
Definitely act of service, being dependable, and I think quality time. Yeah.
The acts of service thing, when you say being dependable, that's interesting because that was never, and I think sometimes all it takes is meeting the right person to understand that might be something that's important to you. Like, yes, being dependable, being someone who's reliable and stable is hugely important to me.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so this person is talking about what if your love language is different from your partner's? Yeah. Okay. That's not uncommon.
I don't think you need to have the same.
I don't think you have to have the same either.
I mean,
because
maybe it facilitates it, but maybe it facilitates the relationship if you have the same. But
I think the key is to be willing to give them what they need, because your love languages aren't going to change.
Yeah.
But giving somebody what they need, filling their bucket, and satiating their love language needs, I think that's up to you. If you care enough about them.
Yeah, but there's caring, and there's like, think about it, like if somebody gives you something that they're not comfortable doing, or they're doing it but that's not their way of doing it, then it feels forced.
Yeah.
The only like example I have is like, you want sex, they don't want to, but they still give it to you because that's what you want.
Because they're like taking one for the team, so to speak.
You know, and so as a person receiving it, you're like, nah, I don't want, right? So like, if my love language isn't like physical touch, I think you can work into doing it, but you have to, I agree with you, you have to make an effort, right? Because you can't be like, that's just how I am, and you deal with it, right? It's like, if you care about someone, you have to try. But you have to do it, I think, in your own way, in a way that makes you comfortable, because as soon as you get uncomfortable doing it, it just makes shit worse. And now it becomes like this thing, like, I have to do this.
Yeah, then it's not an authentic relationship. You're not giving it willfully.
Yeah, now you're at work. It's like, oh my God, I gotta.
Yeah.
Like, if for example, whatever, if that person, Amy, is, her love language is physical touch, and her man never actually like caresses her or whatever, and then he starts to do it, but in a way that he like, it's, you can feel it. I mean, you can feel it when it's not natural.
Sure, absolutely, you can.
It feels wrong to me.
That's why you have to come to a common ground. I mean, you can't set hard expectations if you know that person is uncomfortable giving what you need.
Yeah.
You know, you can't set hard limits. Like, you have to be willing to talk about it. Again, this all goes back to vulnerability, right? Having those uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah.
Maybe this is important to me. It might not be that important to you, but let's figure it out together. And sometimes if you even approach it that way, then that like almost releases a valve, you know?
No, of course.
Like, let the steam out of the tension.
Like, I would say 70% of that problem of different language is gone once you express it.
Yeah.
So if you have a conversation with them saying, listen, you know, this is how I receive, this is how I know that you care for me, I need to be touched, and then you spend time with you. And if he's like, oh, well, I show you my love by being whatever, by buying you gifts and by being dependable, then she also, he as a partner has to work into maybe giving a little bit more of what she needs, but she also needs to understand that when he does that, he's not doing that to everyone. And like, when he does that, then it's also a way for him. So it goes both ways. I think you meet in the middle, and she has to also realize that it's so easy to put it on your partner, you know? It goes both, in my opinion.
I agree. Wow. All right. So hopefully that answers their question. So
what's the answer then? Talk about it.
The answer is talking about it, and both of you have to make some concessions.
A little bit of, I wouldn't say, no, not concessions, like a little efforts. Concessions feels like you're giving something away.
Well, you kind of are. I mean, if that's really important to you, if say like sex is really important to you, and your partner is not consistently like not in the mood, right? Well, then, okay, how are you going to, maybe don't make promises to have sex on a certain night. Maybe just like take it off the table until the person is comfortable doing it. But those are concessions. Like,
that actually made me think of something I would want to like eventually get down to. Have you realized, I saw a TikTok on this, and I was like, holy, that's so true. That if a guy asks his girl to have sex, and she's like, no, I don't feel like it, the guy's like, oh, you'll be bummed. You're like, okay, you know, she doesn't feel like it.
Okay.
But if you reverse it, if the girl asks the guy to have sex and he's like, I don't know, I don't feel like it, automatically he's like, what the fuck?
Super
like,
offended. Yeah, exactly.
Like, are you not into me anymore? Or some of them will be like, no. Like we're having sex. Like, yeah, I don't care if you don't want to. I want to have sex. We're gonna have sex. And if you're like, no, it's like, are you gay? It's like right away. It's like we get all. They were basically, it was this guy who was interviewing strangers in the street and women, and he was like, okay, so no means no, right? And all the girls like, yeah, no means no. Like if I want to have sex with my guy, like we're not having sex. And then he's like, okay, so now if he doesn't want to have sex with you, and most of the girls like, no, I'm taking sex. If I want sex from him, I'm getting sex. And the guy's like, but no means no. It's like, no. So like nobody cares. I was like, oh my God.
Women are almost conditioned to believe that men are just like lusting after sex 24/7, and that they're the objects of the sexual desire 24/7. And it's almost like men are the hunters. They're the pursuers. They are the ones to initiate sex. And that's women's role. I mean, that's a societal conditioning to be in that place. Yeah.
Can you believe that if a guy doesn't want to have sex with a girl, he's automatically, most people will say, oh, he's probably gay.
Yeah. Or like there's something wrong with you. Like you have low testosterone, or like there's something like, what's wrong with you to where you don't want to have sex with your girlfriend or your wife?
Yeah.
And the other way around. Yeah.
My mind's busy. I'm not,
It's also like, think about like, how it's portrayed in media too, like where the guy, the husband wants to have sex with the wife and the wife's not in the mood. And it's like, he's got to like whack off in the corner. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you see that, of her. Yeah. How many times, and do you see that portrayed in sitcoms, cartoons, even?
Of course.
Yeah. That's where that comes from.
I think that's an interesting topic to possibly, we should see how to develop that one, but that would be an interesting topic to talk about.
I like that.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, be vulnerable, I guess. Vulnerable.
Yep. Okay. Well, I hope we answered your question, and keep the questions coming. And we will see you next week for another X Appeal episode. What?
Yeah. Actually, next week we will have most likely Amber coming in on the next episode.
Tell them who Amber is.
So Amber is a friend of mine that I've known. She's a huge LGBTQ plus activist, and she's gonna give us a little bit more of an insight in relationship in that world.
I want to know how many letters there are in that whole sequence. LGBTQIA plus. I think there's an I and an A in there too.
Okay. Is there? Okay, yeah. So we'll have a good open conversation about all this.
I want to know how to say it right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Until next time.